Hi, and welcome to the Cult of Cinema. You know, that's the thing that we're going to focus on right now. It's the cult thing. See, there's a lot of Blu-ray boutique labels out there that are putting out a lot of releases, a lot of really good releases, and all of them hope to reach that status. But very few labels have actually reached the boutique Blu-ray cult status. One of the most famous, infamous, some would say, is Vinegar Syndrome. Here's my wall of Vinegar Syndrome releases right here. And just to give you an idea, they put off a lot of really good stuff. Everything from one-off cult classics like Roy Barton's Trip the Teacher to more fun, infamous stuff like Demon Wind. Gotta dig that particular case. And some big releases. And what's been really good about Vinegar Cinema over the years is that they started out as a company that were into remastering. They were putting a lot of like really fringe stuff, putting out some adult titles, things that they really were worried about that were going to get lost in the through the annals of time, that were literally going to be stuck on a shelf somewhere in the back of some closet, getting Vinegar Syndrome, which is got that acidy smell once film starts to decompose. Now, what really took them over the top, aside from, was this attention to detail and the way that they reached out to their customers and their base, was their ability to put out a solid release and to do something that nobody was doing at that time. And that was to do slipcovers, but do them differently. What they did was they started out with, and I got it right here, their very first slipcover. So indulge with me for a moment as I see if I can find that for you, because it is here somewhere. And it's called The Undertaker. It's Joe Spinell. But have I put it somewhere to watch, or do I have it here? Yeah, I think it's probably here somewhere. Now, you see me looking down here beneath, thinking, well, there's slipcovers up here too. Why aren't you just looking right up at the top to where the initial releases are? Well, here's the thing. Although The Undertaker is right up here on the top, I'll take a couple now. You can see one right here, Christmas Evil, which is before the Undertaker release, which is, of course, their first slipcover release. That's because when Vinegar Syndrome realized that their slipcovers and the quality and the style that they were doing extremely well, what they decided to do was retrograde that, basically go back and put slipcovers out for releases of titles that didn't have slipcovers initially. So there was a ton of titles that came out before the slipcover came along, and as they became known for their quality of the work, they became really known for their slipcovers and the quality and the cardstock that they used in the slipcovers. So when fans came in buying Vinegar Syndrome and buying them with the nice exclusive limited edition slips, then they'd look back at some of the earlier stuff, and a lot of the earlier releases had just the original artwork. There was no slipcovers with them. So a great way to bring people in, to get people to buy the earlier releases, to sell older stock, as well as maybe getting some people who are collectors to rebuy titles that they already have, or just buy the slipcover, because Vinegar Syndrome, for their credit, would enable you to do that. You could just, if you already had the release, you could just buy the slipcover, started putting out things for older releases. Now, this was their very first slipcover. It's kind of unassuming. It is The Undertaker. It is starring Joe Spinell, and the other edition of this one came out from Code Red, which is probably, if you've been collecting for a while, you may have seen the Code Red edition of it. Now, the Code Red edition is interesting, but it's not the complete uncut version of The Undertaker. That is right here. Now, one of the things about this is the initial slipcover was kind of tight, actually, and it's just, it seems pretty simplistic, but it is a pretty hard cardstock at a point when slipcovers were being done kind of flimsy, and often had the same artwork. Now, this obviously has a bit of a gimmick with the tombstone cut into it, and that didn't change for their second one. See, their second one that they put out was Jack Frost. And if you've ever seen Jack Frost on VHS, that's one of the things it's famous for. It's this cheesy movie that's famous for having this lenticular slipcover. So when they put it out, they thought, well, why not do our own version of the Jack Frost slipcover? So that's what they decided to do. And as these started to become more popular, more and more releases started to get slipcovers. They would start out with a counter on the website, and it would kind of count down and let you know how many releases of these limited editions were left before the slipcover was gone. Now, that being said, not all Vinegar Syndrome limited editions were just slipcovers. Some of them sold out because they only had the rights to that film for a specific period of time. A great example of that are these two right here, which is Horror House on Highway 5, I got to remember, it's been a while, and Hellbent, done by the same director, Richard Casey. These are two kind of insane, super fun, super cheesy, low budget, throw it at the wall type of films. And they're great, great fun. But if you don't have these when they came out, and Vinegar Syndrome was very good for letting you know that, okay, there's a release coming out, but it's only limited, and there was a counter. So I wish our companies would do that, actually, so we know exactly when it was going out of stock. So I grabbed these when they initially came out. Now those will set you back a bit if you want to get them. So if you ever find these at a good price, maybe in a bunch of movies sometimes where people sell online, it's definitely worth it, because Richard Casey's films are a lot of fun, and I think that those releases, I don't think they're coming back anytime soon. I could be surprised and see them go to another company, but I don't see that happening. And that's the thing, is that some companies deal and give you this whole cult aspect, this thing where you feel like you're part of a cool group of people because you've discovered this company. You're part of the people that are on the know. You can watch the clock countdown. You can see the tick of those releases. They do sales, and they initially did one sale a year, a Black Friday sale, and they expanded that to a halfway to Black Friday sale. So what that meant for a company like Vinegar Syndrome is it was a way to start this like interaction with their fans and with people that they wanted to bring in. So they would bring in releases that initially people that collected Vinegar Syndrome that were more into the culty stuff, the more of the exploitation and the horror stuff. We're surprised to see Vinegar Syndrome put out. Now, the real first example of that was a movie called Rad. And Rad is a film by Hal Ashby. I'm pretty certain it's Hal Ashby, but I'm going to make certain. Hal Needham. I'm sorry, look at that. It's the other Hal. By Hal Needham. And it was a film that I had no idea was that popular. I'd seen it when I was a kid, but I had no idea that it was going to become this cult film, and that it had this massive following online. So there's a lot of BMX lovers out there, apparently, and BMX movie lovers. And Rad is considered to be like the top of that goalpost of that era. It has Lori Loughlin in it, and it's really fun. It's good. It's kind of cheesy. It's very 80s, but absolutely adore this one. It seemed like an odd choice, because here's a company that's putting out stuff along the lines of A Woman's Torment, or putting out titles like Terror or Star Time or Penitentiary 2. And to see them come out with like what would be a more mainstream release was something that I didn't expect. And I didn't expect how far it would go either, because after Rad, things would change a lot in some of the stuff that they put out. They would put out different labels too. They would start off with Vinegar Syndrome Archives, which would be things initially, it seemed to be centered on titles that you'd find in the back shelf of like a video rental place. And they released things along the lines of, here's the first three releases right here, was Death Feud, Evil Town, and Vice Academy 1 to 3. Love all those, actually. They went from there to releasing VSUs. And VSU went Vinegar Syndrome Ultra. And what that meant was they were 4K releases with ultra well-done packaging. the very first one that they put out was Beastmaster, which is a fantastic film. I'm a massive fan of this one here, and I love Coscarelli. So this, this here, I have the TV series Beastmaster, not all of it, but I got the first couple seasons, and really, really enjoy this. I was so glad to pick this up. It has a magnetic clasp on it, and it has, of course, where the slipcovers are really popular. There's interior artwork, and it's got its own slip on the inside. There's a book in here as well. And it was a way that they could like kind of upgrade and keep going with the packaging. See, after all, there's only gonna be so many slip covers you can put out. So you really gotta work with what you got and try to expand, try to keep things going. Like when I showed you the VSA, here's one right here, Spellcast with Adamant. And they did this like a VHS, kind of like the old style VHS where you take it out of the case like that. And they wouldn't just stop with that either. They would do VSPs, which were newer films called Vinegar Syndrome Pictures, and you get releases from that, like movies like Censor and New York Ninja, which was a film that was an older film that the sound was lost on, and they redubbed it with a whole bunch of new actors, which was a lot of fun. And that sense of like experimentation and their conversations back and forth with a lot of people that collect from them led Vinegar Syndrome to gaining a cult status. It's something that's a very rare, and it's even rare to keep. The first company that I can think of that kind of did that back in the day was probably Anchor Bay. Had this sort of cult status, and to a lower extent, MGM Midnight Movies did. And I think MGM Midnight Movies always wanted to reach that Anchor Bay level, and obviously Anchor Bay didn't stay at that level. And we're in like 13 years for Vinegar Syndrome, so that's a long time to get. Like they reached the cult status pretty quickly. I remember their 5th anniversary, and I've been covering them since just shortly after they became a company. I was one of the original Vinegar Syndrome covers. I actually, at one point, people used to call me Mr. Vincent. That was kind of a nickname. I didn't put it on myself, but they were a company that I used to dive into and love a lot of their stuff, and I still really do. Some things either were releases that weren't for me, and I think that happens, is that a company, as it goes through, it has to grow and change and adapt, and it's going to work for some people, and for other people it's not going to. Another example of that will be Arrow Video, which we will talk about in another video. But right now I wanted to talk about how a company reaches that cult status, and my first one is focusing on Vinegar Syndrome. I think next time maybe we'll look at Criterion and how they went from being a company that did Laserdisc with RoboCop and stuff like that to the Film School in a Box, and just what a great company they are and how they've changed and evolved over the years. If you want me to look into any of these Vinegar Syndrome titles, or even go through a collection overview, I'll do that again in the near future. I far from have everything, but I do have a lot of the early releases that are sadly no longer in print, including the magnificent like Psycho Cop 2 with the slip, or Psycho Cop Returns, I guess. Vinegar Syndrome is literally one of the best examples of a company that has gone from boutique label to cult boutique label. Not everyone can do it. Not many can do it. Not many can keep it lasting as long as they did. Criterion is the other one that stands out as being a company that's kept its kind of cult status. And we'll look at them in another video. So my name's Aaron. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time right here in the Call of Cinema.
Oh God. Subscription sloth here. Just want to remind you that I know in the summertime especially it can be super warm and lazy. But if you're liking this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to go that step further and join the Patreon, there's a link for that down below. You can super sticker, super chat, or donate. But above all, just lie back and enjoy the video, because that's what I'm going to do.